I've always loved the woods. The way the sunlight filters through the trees, the sound of leaves crunching underfoot, the smell of pine and earth, it's my sanctuary. But not all woods are peaceful. Some are alive in ways that defy explanation. This is the story of the Whispering Woods, and how I barely made it out alive. It was supposed to be a solo weekend hike, a chance to clear my head and reconnect with nature. I'd chosen a remote trail deep in the Blackwood Forest, a place I'd never been before. The map showed a dense, untouched wilderness, and I was eager to explore it. The first day was uneventful. The trail was well marked, and the weather was perfect, cool and crisp, with a light breeze. I set up camp near a small stream, cooked dinner over a fire, and fell asleep to the sound of rustling leaves. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of whispers. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the sound was too deliberate, too close. I sat up in my tent, my heart pounding, and listened. The whispers were coming from all around me, soft and indistinct, like a crowd of people murmuring just out of sight. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out of the tent. The woods were pitch black, the trees looming like silent sentinels. I shone the light around, but there was no one there. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and I felt a cold, prickling sensation on the back of my neck. "Hello." I called out, my voice trembling. "Is anyone there?" The whispers stopped abruptly, and the woods fell silent. I stood there for a long moment, my breath visible in the cold air, before retreating to my tent. I told myself it was just my imagination, but I didn't sleep a wink that night. The next morning, I packed up camp and continued down the trail. The whispers were gone, but the woods felt different, heavier, darker, as if they were watching me. I tried to shake the feeling, but it clung to me like a second skin. By midday, I realized I was lost. The trail markers had disappeared, and my map was no help. The trees seemed to close in around me, their branches twisting into grotesque shapes. I tried to retrace my steps, but every path led me deeper into the woods. That's when I saw it, a figure standing among the trees, just out of reach. It was tall and thin, its body shrouded in shadows. I called out, but it didn't respond. It just stood there, watching me. I turned and ran, my heart pounding in my chest. The whispers returned, louder this time, echoing through the trees. I didn't stop until I reached a small clearing, where I collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. The clearing was unlike anything I'd ever seen. The ground was covered in strange symbols, carved into the earth and filled with ash. In the center was a stone altar, stained with what looked like dried blood. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the whispers were deafening. I knew I had to get out of there, but my legs wouldn't move. The figure from the trees stepped into the clearing, its form flickering and indistinct. It was joined by others, their shapes shifting and merging like smoke. They surrounded me, their whispers growing into a cacophony of voices. "You shouldn't have come here," one of them said, its voice a chorus of agony and rage. "I didn't mean to," I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry. Please, let me go." The figures didn't respond. They just watched me, their hollow eyes filled with malice. Then, one of them stepped forward, its hand reaching for my throat. I don't know how I got out of the clearing. All I remember is running, the whispers echoing in my ears. The trees seemed to part for me, their branches reaching out like claws. I didn't stop until I reached the edge of the woods, where I collapsed onto the road, gasping for air. A passing motorist found me and took me to the nearest town. I tried to explain what had happened, but no one believed me. The woods were just woods, they said. There was nothing sinister about them. I never went back to the Blackwood Forest. I couldn't. The memory of the whispers, the figures, the altar, it was too much. But I know the woods are still there, waiting for their next victim. Every now and then, I hear the whispers. They're faint, almost imperceptible, but they're there. And every time I pass a dense, dark forest, I can't help but glance over my shoulder, half expecting to see the figures watching me from the trees. The whispering woods are out there, somewhere. And they're hungry.